You see now the yellow screen?
Sure.
Yes, good. So, okay, guys, our topic today is testing within life cycle models. Models should be models, not model, but it's okay, still correct. So, what we will learn today. Okay, this is the outlines. Testing within waterfall model, testing within V model, testing within agile models, agile developments, okay, as well in test drive development and extreme programmings, okay. So we will see how testing within these models. Okay, so the outcome of this lecture, we get to know how the testing within this model. Also, we also revise these models, how these models work, just in quick, and then we see the testing within these models. Okay. Also, we miss actually last time, not miss actually, there is no time to take this testability. So today, I hope we can do it. We can do it. So today we start with waterfall models. So what you have see here now, it's the requirements. I mean, this is the main step or the basis of waterfall models. Maybe you are already familiar, and this is maybe the simplest one, the simplest model, or the easy one. Just you have some phases, and then you complete one, and then go to the another one. Okay, so this is waterfall model. We start with the requirement, gathering the requirement from the we can say from the customer, but in general from stakeholder. After that, we design a global design, which is the high-level design. High-level design, we just maybe start with architectures, and then after that, go to the details design. We design the database, we design the interfaces. Okay, so that's the third one, or the fourth one, which is the implementation. Implementation, it's the main phase of the developing the software, which is now writing the code of your software. So here, and last phase, which is testing. So this is the phase of waterfall model. But as you know, guys, in the waterfall models, we have to start, for example, with requirements. We cannot go to the next, which is, for example, design, the global design, until we complete the first phase, right? You know these things. So this is the main things in waterfall models. So what we concern here, it's about testing. So the testing here, if you see here, is a separate phase. So after complete your system, complete the implementation of your system, then you can go for testing. So if you see the testing, it's separate phase in this model, and maybe this is the problem of this model. That the separate, after you complete the testing, after you complete developing the software, implemented of the software, then you can go for testing. But here, if we ask question here, where the fault is appear, this is the question. Maybe from the previous class, we answered this question. From where the fault or the error it's come. It's not only from the code, right? So it's come from anywhere.
Everyone.
Can be from the requirement, right? From the design, from the implementation. So all these phases can cause a fault. So if there is fault in gathering the requirements, so you will use it for design. Even you have a fault, but you will design based on that fault. So there is no way to catch this fault in the early stage of the developments. So here, as we say, okay, the requirement or the fault can be appear anywhere. The requirements or the fault can be appear anywhere in the requirement, or in the design, or in the implementations. But in this model, testing only in the end of these phases. So this is the problem of this graph show the cost of catching the bug. So if we catch the bug in the early stage, the cost will be less. While if we go, I mean, for example, we go to the design and the implementation and then release the products, the cost will be higher. The cost will be higher. So just this is to know that this is the problem of waterfall models, because waterfall models, it's always starting or start the testing after completing the implementation. So this is the first model. Okay, you know the waterfall model, that's why it's going to be easier. So the second one, which is V model. So V model, from its name, the V model is goes some like two parts. The first part, and then they go to the second part. So here, if you see it, is a normal like a V model, like a waterfall model. So here we start with the requirement, and then okay, maybe they open it for two, maybe based on the reference, the requirement, and then the design, which is high design, low design. After that, coding. So this is the main phases. After that, when you get the code is ready or the application is ready, then we go back to the other part, which is here, is the first one, which is the. So guys, this is the V models. As we see, the V models can be seen as two parts. The first part, which is in the left side, it's the normal life cycle, which is as normal of waterfall model, for example, while the other side, which is the validation parts. So how it's work? But this side, guys, is the developer. In this side is the developer, while the other side here, it's, you see I cannot write here, but okay, the other side is the tester. The other side here in this place is the tester. So how it's work? Once you receive, for example, the testing, now I'm talking about testing, because now, okay, you know, this is the waterfall model. We have in the left side is the developers. So developer start his work based on, for example, waterfall model without testing. We see until the coding only. So the other side is the tester. The tester will start the testing, but not in the same time, but at least they will start in early stage some kind of testing. So once the user or for example, the manager of this project, okay, receive the information or receive this project. So the first thing what will send this or the customer request to developers or the information of this project. For example, okay, the customer requests to develop a software, and this is the information about this software. So this information will be sent to the developers. Also will be sent to the other side, which is the tester. So the developer will develop the business requirement in the two phases, this and this. They will develop the requirements. The developer will develop the requirement. Let's see for the first one, which is the business requirement, which is also is the first level of the requirements. Okay, now the requirement is ready, or the business requirement is ready. So what will happen? Also, as we say, is this project manager will send also this business requirement to the tester. So tester, what will tester do? Tester will develop, review. This is review. Okay, in this stage. So now we'll review. There is in this stage, in the first stage, this requirement will be reviewed by the tester, and then the tester will create the the acceptance testing, which is also last time I show you how the acceptance testing is just okay based on the functions. So for example, at least okay, the system it's able, for example, to create user. So this is okay, for example, this requirement. So we create acceptance testing for this. So they will create acceptance testing plan, and then also they will write acceptance testing test cases. So you see here now how they work. This one will create the requirement, while the other side, they will review this requirement. Also, they will create the acceptance testing plan. They will create acceptance testing cases. So now the next which is the developers also will go to the next stage, which is create the software requirements specifications, which is also under the requirements, but is more details. The output of this is documentation also. So now we have the requirement, which is SRS. SRS, this is also the same thing, will be sent to the tester. So tester will check this RS against the BRS. Also will write system testing plan. Also will write the test cases of this phase. They will write also the test case of this phase. So the other things is the same things. Now we go to the next stage, which is high level development. As I told you, the high level is just, for example, is how the system will look like. Okay, the system, for example, will have the architecture of the system. No more details. No, go for the designing the interfaces, designing the database. No, this is in the low design, in the low levels. So for the next which is high level design, they will do the same things. They will review the high level design against the SRS. After that, the tester will create the integration test plan. The tester also will create the test cases, which integration test cases. Now they will go for the next step, which is low level. Low level will be the developer will create the design, or which low level design, and then will send to the tester, and tester will review that. So this is go until the coding. Okay, this step now until the coding. So what the next here now, after we go to the last step, which is now we have the coding is ready. So now we'll go back to, based on this arrow, we'll go back until to the up in the right side. So what the tester do now? The tester now will start implement his plan. If you see here, now we have unit testing. Now unit testing, the tester will execute the unit testing, because already now we have the plan for example, the unit testing. We have the test cases is already there. So the tester will do unit testing. So here, guys, after that, after unit testing, if the unit testing bad, so they will go to the next, which is component testing. After that, they will go to system testing and acceptance testing until the end. Okay, guys, do you see now how the idea is work? How this waterfall model works in terms of testing? So as we see here, first in the left side, they will just prepare. They will go for the normal life cycle phases. After that, but in each phase also we have another. You can see just planning and review for the testing in these phases. Now we are in the requirement, so we plan for the requirement. Also, we prepare the test cases. Okay, what the idea here, guys? Also, there is another thing, which is review. In every time we review. Suppose here in the high level, suppose when the tester review this design, he goes that the design it's not match with or not meet the SRS, because this step is for review the design, right? So if the design doesn't meet this SRS or the requirement in SRS, so now you have time to modify your level or your high level design. You have time to modify and make some changes. And this thing is also goes for all phases. So anytime they can, if there is anything, they can change and then back to the developer to modify their works and then back to the tester. While the actual testing, it will be in the end. The actual testing after coding, for example, now After we finish coding, we have to start now testing, but based on the plan that's already prepared. Based on the plan that's already prepared. So guys, here is the water or the V models, how V models work. So guys, do you have any question related to this two models, which is waterfall models and V models? So if not, let's go to that. Yes.
The testing phase, does it have to also follow this stage, like a first unit test, and after that, the component test and system integration and acceptance tests? Does it have to follow this order?
Actually, I think, yes, you have to follow. You know what? If your system is small, so maybe it's just do system testing. Actually, the most important one is the system testing. If your system is small, but if your system is big, better to go, to divide your system into small. This is, you know what? If you search about which the most use models, you will find that it's agile model or any one of agile models, because agile model is a methodology. So like Scrum or another one from the agile. Why? Because they divide the system into small parts, then they generate, then they produce, or we can say is develop these parts. After that, they test all these together. So you have to go through, if you use that one, for example, agile, you have to go through the unit testing, component testing. So you know what's mean when you go to unit testing? For example, you have application, and this application, for example, it's website, and this website is 5 pages. Okay, for example, sign in, sign up, and then display something, and then okay, five pages. So when we say about, for example, a unit testing, so inside these 5 pages, you can say this is, maybe we can consider these 5 pages. Each page is component. Each page is a component. Okay. Then if I want to check all this system, I want to check all these 5 together. If I want to do a software component testing, so I will go through each page. If I want unit testing, I have to go inside each page. You have, for example, many modules, not modules, many methods. So you have to check the each unit separately. So, but if small application, for example, it's all you can say, you can catch, or you can't catch the error wherever it's the errors. So you can go only for system testing. You understood what's the idea? The idea is not, okay, it's not compulsory to go through all of them, but based on your application. If it's small, you can just use system testing, and then once you feel the system is ready enough and there is no fault, so it's enough. But better to go for testing your application in small components.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome. So the next now, guys, you see here, this is another example of, for example, you see here, this is related to your question here. Okay, why now, for example, is agile model? Why is agile model? Agile model is just the idea of agile model that we divide our project into small, we can say small projects. Okay, and then we develop each project. We test each project. So now we will see the agile developments or agile methodology. So here, as they see here, is agile methodology is iterative approach. So iterative, that's mean is you have many, and then it's repeated approach. So you develop, okay, you divide, as I mentioned, you divide your project into small pieces. After that, you develop each pieces. And then you can see each one will go through the whole cycle. Each small phase of this project will go through the whole cycle. For example, starting with the requirement, after that designing, after that implementation. So all these methods or all these phases will go we will go through these for each phase of project. So here the small project here, they call it sprint. Each project or each small project, they call it sprint. Where is it? The word here. Okay. So here some features here in this should be this in agile model, your project should be completed in short iterative of the project life cycle. Okay, we have many shorts iterative, not only one. Also in agile model, you can complete your application. I mean, your project is faster. Why is faster? Actually, many people or many worker can work in the separate part of the system of the project. Also, it's accept the changes. These kind of agile models is accept the changes, because in any times the customer can request changes, and then you can modify your project or either the application, the whole applications. Okay, this is some information about agile. It's okay. The main things is that it's iterative approach. Also, it's short life cycle. Short life cycle means that just few weeks sometimes. Okay, the second, the third, also it's okay. Maybe the next slide also show more. So, but here let's see the steps of this project. So the project first step is project planning. Okay, maybe as usual, any project you have to start with plan for that project. Maybe just we go to the next one, which is important, which is roadmap. Okay, roadmap here. In the second step, which is roadmap creation. So here, your project in this step, you have to divide your project into small projects. You have to divide projects into small projects. Okay, maybe this is the main thing. So the third one, which is release high plan for each sprint. So now we have a small project, and each one is maybe we call it is a sprint. So now you release a plan for each sprint. So you see here, guys, we have it's maybe more details. I mean, maybe can combine 2 or 3 steps together, because okay, now release high level plan for the sprint. Okay, number 4. Now we have plan for each sprint. We have plan for each sprint. So what we have to do now, we start meeting daily stand up. We start meeting in what we do, what this, I mean, start maybe as we say the traditional, for example, we can use the traditional, for example, waterfall model for each sprint. Okay, after that, number 4 we say is the planning for each. After that, the daily stand-up meetings. Okay, in this meeting, each team member will briefly talk about what they do. For example, now, okay, they have the plan, it's ready. Now they start implement this. I mean, they start apply. As I told you, whatever they can start apply the implementation, the requirement, and everything about this sprint. In the end of the day, they have to meet and check what they accomplish for this small piece of project. Okay, maybe other people, they work to other piece of project. After that, step 6, review what they have to do with the stakeholder now, with the stakeholder. So if you see here now, okay, we just in general, we divide our project into small project, into small phase of project, and each project is called a sprint. After that, they start implement this project, and then every day they have to meeting with their in the team developers. After that, also the last one, which with the stakeholders, review these what we can say is their achievement with the stakeholders. Then here, if you see here now, they complete the first, for example, the first iteration. So then they will do the same iteration again and again and again until the system is completed. Testing in agile. So guys, you see here down in this area, you see, maybe we can say how the system or the agile testing works. So first they start, if you see, I guess, no documentation, no, so we just define. We can define, for example, define the system, or we can see the customer need. Define the customer need in terms of story, user story. Okay, and then start develop the application based on this story, and then build it, code it. After that, testing. After that, implementation. So we have small ways of the implementing, or we can say development. This is, for example, the first one. After this is for one sprint, for example. This is for one sprint. So now we have the same one. Now we do the same phases, the same step for the same one, for the same we can say part of the project. Same part, we do the same. But if you see here, guys, that testing will be, the time for testing will increase, while the time for defining and developing will reduce. Okay, so this is the iteration, how the iteration works. So the second iteration, there will be, the third iteration will be more, the testing will be more, because it's more important now, because it means that the development is not just small change based on the customer need, based on the customer feedback, because the customer there is a communication between them in this approach. So here, guys, how the testing in agile. I would say, okay, based on the agile natural, the tester, there is a collaboration between the stakeholder, tester, and developer. So all of them work together, and they work in iterative. So they define, or they can say they start with a small project, and then they'll go to the next iteration, and then they test this project, and then until this phase of project is get ready, and then go for the next model until they come up with the whole project. Here just some points about the testing in agile. First, as you see here, guys, we say is iterative and incremental development model. So what we mean by this? Well, that means, as we say, it's the development, or we start with a project, and then small project, and this is iterative. So many will repeat the stake, or we can say the life cycle many times. Also, it's incremental. So what's mean? That means we start with small one, and then maybe we increase. We add another models. For example, we start one model, and then we increase another model until we end up with the whole system. So the customer, it's the main point. As we see here, you can see we have meeting. If you see in the previous step, one step is with stakeholder review, even sometimes is daily. Okay, so this is also based on the plan of the project. Maybe can weekly, not only daily, also based on the framework that you use. So it's the customer is the center. Here also it's short life cycle. The each sprint, it should take small life cycle. You cannot take this one, for example, for long times. You cannot stay developing one sprint is long times. Also accepting for risk and change. Okay, this is also a good point. That's this accept for risk and change. Anytime there is change, it's accept. Okay, no clear rules in the team. Okay, guys, here one thing, guys, you can see from the beginning, what the idea here? The idea here, we have the stakeholder here with us. So we just ask the stakeholders stakeholder, what you want. For example, I want the system to be able, for example, create user. So last this sentence. So the user or the developer will write something, we call it what? User story. User story. So just one card, and then we write the user want this user story. So based on that, the system will be developed. So if you see here, there is no documentations or lack of the documentation. Minimalisms. So here, guys, in this means, as we see, the project will be divided into small bases of projects. So we cannot develop the whole project at once. We just develop small until we come up with the whole project. Okay, collaborative and communication. This is required because we have the team builders, we have the team, we have also the tester, we have also the stakeholder. Okay, guys, this is now maybe something about the. So, guys, here maybe also more. Okay, I mean just something about the some notes about the agile model. As we mentioned here, guys, just to emphasize that there is no documentation. If you see here, so the test will replace the requirement. If you see the first point, the test will replace the requirement because maybe there is no documentation there. And if you read about most of the agile models, you will find that they use something we call it user story. User story is just a small card, and then you write what you want to do, what the customer want. So the tester also is designed based on the user story. Okay, the same. The test must be high quality and must run quickly. Yes. Every test must include the test oracle that can evaluate whether the test execute correctly. So guys, okay, let's talk about this one. Last time I talked about test oracle. So if you see here, evaluate. Okay, so we will offer evaluate the product based on the test oracle. That means the test oracle is something like it's used to evaluate. That means we have the input, we have the output. Okay. Every test must include the test oracle. Test oracle, which is, we can say, is like a table with two columns. So the first is the input, the second is the output. So we have to evaluate the test based on that test oracle. So here also we have test harness. Test harness also it's used in this in agile, because what's this harness is any tools, any supporting tools. When you do automation testing, there is a lot of tools you need. A lot of tools you need. Test to generating the test cases, test to run the test cases, not test, sorry, tool to generate the test cases, tool to run the test cases. So in each this tool is we call it is test harness. So this test harness is in this model is run the automated testing. Run the automated testing and should report the output to the developers. So here also the last point, which is we have continuous integration. Continuous integration. So as we see there, we have based on this in the natural of agile method, we have small products, we can say, or artifacts they call it. So here we need what we call it is the continuous integrations. Why? Because we cannot now build the system at all. We should build a small part of system also and regularly integrate these systems together. So this is also something is needed in the software on the testing, agile testing. So guys, here we have, if you see based on that, if you see now we don't have documentation. So this is problem. We have a short life cycle. This is problem. So what challenge when you, for example, if you plan to use this approach as a framework to follow in your development. So what do you think is challenge in this approach? what challenge is in this approach. You can, guys, use the Miro. Yeah, we have the link.